Okay then guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm delighted to welcome Stuart Hancock into one of our composer interviews. Stuart is a seasoned composer with loads of amazing credits, not only in writing music but in the music department, arranging and lots of other great stuff. So welcome Stuart, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, Jack, pleasure to be here.
That's okay, so I just wanted to start off maybe just to talk a little bit about your background, what got you into music and kind of what your route into working as a professional composer was.
Yeah, well, I've been in the business professionally 25 years now, so we're going back quite a way now. But yeah, I started out, I took up piano at the age of 8, violin a couple of years after that, and
Cool.
switched to viola. And just dabbled in writing music for fun. It was a hobby all the way through school and university as well. Never thought about it seriously as a career until getting towards the end of a geography degree and wondering what was next.
Yeah.
I had no idea, absolutely no idea, but I knew that I loved music and loved writing music and something that had been a hobby up to that point could maybe be a career. And there was a couple of light bulb moments I had. Firstly, in the summer holidays before my final year of doing a geography degree, I was at a prom at the Albert Hall.
Yeah.
And in the back of the program for that particular concert were listings for conservatoires, including London College of Music, which was offering a 1-year master's in composing for film and TV. And it suddenly became a possibility that A, you could study it, and B, it could be a career sort of thing. So I cobbled together my portfolio of little ditties that I'd written and stuff to show for myself, because I didn't have a music degree. I didn't have A-level music either, but I had stuff that I had written. So I applied for the course and got on it. So did a 1-year masters in West London College of Music, and the other sort of pivotal moment that followed on from that was after I finished that year and was sort of bumming around, not quite knowing how to make it sort of lead to the next thing. I got a letter from the director of studies at the college, who had been contacted by a Soho-based music production company who were looking for, to start with, work experience composers, but there was a vacancy for a full-time composer at that production company. So, and they were contacting all the London and I guess probably the Royal Northern as well, and the other music colleges to ask for talent that they might try out on work experience. So I was one of, I think, maybe 10 that they tried out for various periods of time. I initially did a 1 week work experience with them, which went well. I won a job for them in that time. And 1 week turned into an entire summer, and it got to the end of the summer. I said to the boss guy, look, you're paying me peanuts. I'm winning jobs for you. I've got the job, right? And sort of pinned him down, and he said, yes, you got the job. So I became a full-time studio composer in Soho. Sort of learnt straight in at the deep end, learnt on the job, learned how to deal with clients and meet deadlines, and trial by fire, really. So I was full-time salaried composer for about 6 years, which took me to about 2005, 2006. And I flew the nest at that point and started working from home, doing my own thing, trying to build up my own sort of clients. I've worked from home for the last 20 years, basically, sort of working on a mixture of commercial music, advertising music, sprinkled with film and TV music when I can get it. So that's the potted history of me.
That's amazing. So it all came from that one prom. Can you remember what the music was in that concert?
Yes, it
by
was.
Any chance?
I believe it opened with Fanfare for the Common Man, and it might have actually been that whole symphony that comes from, actually.
Yeah.
The Copeland.
Oh wow, no, that's really cool. So were they quite relaxed then about the fact that you'd done your undergrad in geography? That wasn't like an issue.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it wasn't. So yeah, I didn't have the paperwork qualifications to have got me onto the course, but I guess I interviewed well, and I had stuff I'd written that I could show for myself. I could produce scores and recordings. Just student stuff, college stuff. I'd written 2 musicals at university.
Nice.
And we put those on, and yeah, bits and pieces of other stuff. So yeah, on paper I shouldn't have got on the course, but with it's not about your qualifications, as I'm sure you know. It's about what you've done, what you can show for yourself. And
yeah, because I guess you were able to back it up with the credentials of what you just explained, like doing the musicals and other things.
Yeah, and you can be as qualified as you like on paper, and be rubbish at it.
Yeah, that's a very good point, I guess.
It's the practical side of it. It's you can have qualifications coming out your ears, but if you can't actually do the job and do the work, then so it's sort of same sort of thing with actually getting the job at the end of the day. I didn't. Yes, I had a master's by that point from the London College of Music, but didn't actually mean anything.
Yeah.
What meant something is that I was thrown in that studio, and I could do the work, or I could show that I could do the work. So it's all about doing it and producing demos to show for yourself, and
yeah. Cool. So I'm just curious, what was it actually like in Soho at that sort of time? I'm guessing it was like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I got the job end of summer 99. So back then we were using, there wasn't such thing as a QuickTime movie or anything like that. We were working on Pneumatic tape, which was sort of the successor to Betamax video. These big clunky things that you shoved in machines, and you're sort of shuffling between really so clunky now. Compared to what we're working with now, and everything was recorded onto DAT, digital tape, things were couriered around Soho rather than emailed as attachments or uploaded. So sounds like the dark ages, but it was obviously cutting edge.
I mean that's kind of why I raised that point, just because I feel like some of the younger people tuning in might not appreciate, because it doesn't seem that long ago, but things have changed a lot because of technology.
Gosh, the progression is incredible, really. I mean, by the time I left the job in 2005, 2006, I think we were probably still using Pneumatic and DAT, but QuickTimes were coming in, and things were moving on apace. And I was using big mixing desks to create my demos, and whereas now I'm just simply doing it with one Mac, and some drives of samples, and whereas I think what's the biggest change perhaps is the fact that back then in that world, which was primarily advertising, we were in the centre of where the advertising industry was, and it was all about clients physically coming into studios and being in the room while you did it, and presenting music in person to clients, and wining and dining them to a certain extent, and which was never really my forte. There are other people in
it's like the dark arts, as they say.
Absolutely. that involved alcohol and occasionally other substances. But that was the industry then, which is there are still studios in Soho, absolutely. That's not completely gone away, but the bulk of us are now properly freelance, properly at home, doing Zoom calls and emailing our work to each other, uploading our work to each other, and that's the biggest change, I think, because technology has allowed that. I suppose. So everything moves very quickly now.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen at the press of a button, rather than putting it onto a pneumatic tape, hiring a courier to get it the other side of London, and those days.
I was going to say, just we transfer now, and it's done and dusted.
Exactly.
So it is crazy how much things have changed. But that's really good to sort of hear your background then. So just want to wind the clock forward a bit and chat about Kensuke's Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed watching on iPlayer over the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
I thought it was beautiful story. I wasn't really familiar with the book. I've read the Butterfly Line growing up, which is another Michael Morpurgo. It did kind of remind me of that in themes, but I just thought the score was wonderful. I think the film looks like it's had so much love put into it by, especially like the voice acting as well. I thought was amazing. Ken Watanabe, I do personally I think he's a really cool actor. He's got a very cool voice, so it was good that they had his contribution. I just wanted to explore maybe the creative process and where would you even begin as a composer with the job of writing that music?
Yeah, it was a delightful job to have been a part of. I was involved with it as long ago as 2016, and it was actually in development for, I think, from day one of one of the producers optioning the book to it actually getting out in the cinema was 22 years.
Wow.
Which is mind-blowing, really. And it started out as it was planned to be a live-action film, and I think that the deal breaker on that was the realisation that putting a young boy in a jungle with a bunch of orangutans had health and safety implications. And just all the practicalities of that meant that it ultimately became an animated film instead of a live action. I knew the production company because the Lupus films are the same producers as We're Going on a Bear Hunt that I'd worked on, and even before that, Neil Boyle, one of the two directors of Kensuke's Kingdom, I'd worked with before, originally on adverts way back in the early noughties, and I did a short film for him in 2011 called The Last Bell, which is a brilliant animated 20-minute short. And he's a big champion of me and my work, and he actually was instrumental in getting me on Bear Hunt, and because he was an animator on Bear Hunt, and then when it came to him directing Kensuke's Kingdom, he fought for me to be doing that as well. So my way in 2016 was, at that point they hadn't funded the film, they were nowhere near funding it. But he and Kirk Hendry, the other director, had put together a 2-minute teaser trailer sort of animation test, which is kind of the done thing when you're trying to sell in a movie and raise the finance for it. You show proof of concept sort of thing. You show people what it's going to look like. So they'd done this 2-minute thing, which was a sort of very quick synopsis of the shipwreck story and Michael and Kensuke and the orangutans, and they asked me to write music for that. So obviously this is nearly 10 years ago now, and the producers obviously approved me doing that. I got a small fee for doing it, and they said, well, this will be your demo for doing the real thing when it actually becomes a real thing. So there was a bit riding on it for me to do a good job back then, but did the work. So that was done, and then it went back into sort of the process, the development process, the funding process, and I was not the composer for the longest time. There were other requirements from finances that they went to bigger name composers, and long story short, eventually it got greenlit in 2020, and I did get the call for the job in November of that year. So obviously COVID had happened that year, and everything was sort of online and out of studios. Everybody was in their own space doing their own thing, which is not so bad for animation because it's a sort of solitary, very kind of focused world for animators. The bulk of production happened in those circumstances. And by the time I was on the job, they had created their animatic, which, for those that are not aware of the term, the animatic is it's effectively the film structured into edited into a movie, but it's just using the storyboard images, the hand drawn storyboard images. But you do get the edit, effectively, the timing and the rough timing of how the movie's going to play out. So that's where they were at that point, in late 2020, and that's the version that I got started working on. And the first scene that I scored was there's a glade scene where Michael is sneaking through the jungle and hears the voice of Kensuke, and he's conducting this ritual with the orangutans in this opening that's clearing in the jungle. And they wanted to establish Kensuke's chant that he sings to summon the orangutans. So that was an important piece of the score for the directors. And I suggested, well, the track that I did for the original teaser back in 2016 contained this very nice little nugget of music that I thought would actually work quite well as Kensuke's chant. And they agreed, and actually the music that I wrote back in 2016 became that chant and became quite a pivotal theme in the score itself, because I use it to obviously for those rituals scenes, but also it's quite often in the score, sometimes subliminally, to suggest mystery, and it's slightly exotic for Kensuke and for the setting. So that was the beginnings of working on the score.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So you were never sort of working with the complete images until right at the end, is that right?
No.
Or is it sort of compiled as you go?
Yeah, absolutely. So the sort of subsequent versions of the animatic would then start incorporating animation, line drawn animation, sort of simple mock-ups. And like maybe a year and a half later, I was suddenly seeing colour images, which was amazing to see suddenly colour going into what to that point had been just line drawings.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful thing seeing the progression of this film come together over, basically 2 years. Yeah. Pretty much from start to finish. I worked on and off on the score.
Yeah.
So we recorded it in late 2022.
And does that so when things like the colour get added and stuff like that, does that make you want to change the music or maybe give you more, spark new ideas sometimes?
Not really. I think by that point, by the time colour was in, the animation was in. So the and the edit was nearing being locked off. So the pace of it was there already, and the structure of it was there. But so colour, just seeing colour is a kind of treat to suddenly see. It's like, oh my goodness, this is actually going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing to look at. So no, by that point, it was the score was well underway and sort of nearing approval.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, cool. And then when you're sitting down to write some of the cues, then do you have specific references maybe in your mind of kind of what you're aiming for, or is it more it's just sort of automatic? You just kind of write and then see what sticks.
Well, the as you know, the film is set in sort of late 80s, I think, perhaps 89, 90. The setting, and it's very much in the style of those, wonderful 80s movies. That I mean, you're too young to have been there. I mean, I grew up with them, and the directors and the editor were very huge fans of those John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith and James Horner, Silvestri kind of scoring from that period, and that was absolutely the sound world and style they wanted to be in, which was absolutely fine by me. Love it myself. So there was a very well constructed temp score on the movie that that gave me a very good indication of where their heads were at. And and the temp score is a blessing and a curse, as I'm sure you know, because it gives you a really good steer for what they want and the moods they want to create. But sometimes they get too stuck on it, they're too in love with it, and it's hard to replace it with what you do. So there was a couple of scenes in the movie where the temp score was so good, and they'd edited to the pace of it as well, that it was quite a challenge. One of them particularly was about 13-14 minutes into the movie. There's a travel log sequence where you see the boat going around the map of the world, and they'd used a piece of John Williams' score from Empire of the Sun, which is a brilliant piece of music, and they'd edited to it, so the pace was there, and it was a real challenge to do something better.
I can imagine.
Got there in the end, and there was another one. There's a death scene sort of 2/3 of the way through the movie, which they used the music for Dobby from Harry Potter.
Oh really?
Scene.
Oh no!
No, spoiler alert: Dobby dies.
Yeah.
But the music, the splat music that he wrote for that scene in the end of that movie, that was the temp score there. So again, really hard to beat. But found ways and got there in the end.
Yeah, I can imagine if they're using people like John Williams as the temp, then it's a very high bar.
Damn him.
To meet and surpass. So but no, it sounds like you got there in the end anyway. So it was worthwhile. But so I believe then, so it was a live orchestra recording. Was there any sort of samples blended in, or things like that, or was it all pretty much done live?
It was it was very much the intention to keep it kind of big and symphonic and recordable with the whole lot in the same room at the same time, live recording, rather than splitting it up and doing samples here and there. I mean, in reality, yes, there are samples in there, and there are sort of repairs that went on with the recordings where things are a little bit patched up. And we did choir as well in a separate studio. We did choir in London. We did orchestra in Bratislava, Slovakia. So we did choir and soloists in Aerodale Studios in London. So my goal for it was to make it feel like a really big, coherent symphony kind of score with thematic unity throughout and coherence, and and ultimately I would love for it to have live performances one day, and sort of kind of working on that behind the scenes. So the intention was for it to be this is a good old-fashioned, old-school, traditional symphonic score that
of course
you don't produce in your Mac. You produce on a stage, and it's like it's really,
I think it's the only way you can really get that sound is just by having everyone together. Because even if it was all live but recorded separately, it's still going to have that slightly like digified feel to it.
That's true.
So
we did. Rather than split things up in that way, the orchestra we had 2 days in Bratislava, which with hindsight was not enough, because it was a rush, and at times, especially towards the end, we had I think 14 hours of recording. Oh wow! But it's 74 minutes of music, which you just couldn't do in terms of restrictions in that time in the UK. And we did 2 sessions with 60 players, 1 session with 50 and 1 with 40. So I sort of split up the cues accordingly to the forces required for various bits and pieces. It was really, really hard work, because of the volume of the music, the amount of the music we had to record. budget I had to play with. I had to cram it in that time.
Yeah, there's so many parameters when you're in that situation that you have to get right.
Yeah,
and,
it's a very high pressure situation, and I'm like, every 5 seconds I'm sort of looking up at the clock. Oh, how are we doing? Are we on schedule?
Yeah.
You try and plan it as much as you can, and then some cues take way longer than you thought they would, and others just, you sprint through them. It's hard to sort of foresee how these sessions are going to go, but as much as you plan it, you sort of wing it sometimes. Plus when you go to Eastern Europe, as good as they are, there's always just that little language barrier with
like communications and the little things.
So
was that your first time recording in Eastern Europe?
No, I've been there.
Done quite a few.
I've been to Bratislava a number of times. I think this is maybe 15th time I've been.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I've not really spoken to anyone from Bratislava, but obviously you got like the Hungary, Czech Republic. There's quite a few different places these days. Which it does seem to be the perfect option if that's the brief, if it's full orchestra score but limited budget kind of thing, then Eastern Europe's usually the best bet. So it sounds like you were quite sort of tactical with the way you put it together and structured the cues and things to get the most value
absolutely
out of that time.
You've got to plan it as much as you can, but even then, as I've just said, things go astray or other things go quicker.
Sure. I mean, obviously, I'm always going to be a big champion for doing stuff in the UK, but if composers are working in Eastern Europe, are there any tips? Like, is it good to have someone to meet with beforehand, work out, when you were saying about language barriers, for example, to maybe do some like pre-translation of what you're trying to say into the local language and things?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm an absolute champion of the UK myself, and if the budget's there and it's possible and circumstances allow, I would absolutely keep it here every day of the week. Partly because the players are fantastic, and you can communicate that much better. But I mean, with the European orchestras, when I say there's a language barrier, it is there, and it's sort of, I would say it makes the difference between the British players nailing it on the first or second take, as opposed to the Europeans maybe third or fourth take. You get there, but and with the Bratislava Symphony Orchestra, who I've worked with a number of times, as I've said, the guy that runs it, David Hernando, he's really excellent concert conductor as well as recording conductor. He's actually Spanish, but he's in Slovakia, so he's communicating with the players in Slovakian. Spaniard communicating with me in the box in English, so he's doing this incredible job of communicating both ways.
I'm going to say that's a lot, 'cause he probably thinks in his head in Spanish as well. So he's got all these things going on.
I'm so full of admiration for anybody that can speak any other language other than their own. But plus he's conducting it brilliantly and communicating and sort of doing it, expressing it in the language that they understand. So I think the reason I ended up recording there particularly was because I did have a history of recording there, and I did have a relationship with him, a working relationship with him. First time I recorded there was back in probably 2007, I think. Plus it's a place you can get to very easily. You can jump on a Ryanair flight and you're there in 2 and a bit hours. And a couple of times that I've been there, I've done it, been there and back in the same day.
Wow,
which is exhausting.
Crazy.
But you get the 6 a.m. flight from Luton, and you're there by lunchtime and recording, and then get the sort of 9-10 p.m. flight back and you're home. That's not how we did it this time. I mean, this time we flew out the day before. I say we, this is me, both directors, the editor, the sound mixer, 2 producers. We went en masse because it was such a big deal, this score.
That's interesting that the sound mixer was present then.
Adam Smith mixed with me. because we were doing a 5.1 mix, so he didn't need to be there, but he was very keen to be, fully involved, and
he wanted to know what was happening on the music, so it could sort of
see
integrate
see the room, see the mic setups, and that sort of obviously helped him further down the line once we got to,
is that unique to that particular project? So have you had the dubbing mixer there on other films that you've done?
Yeah, actually that's the first time that's happened. It was great to have him there, really good, and because the mixing process was a big piece of work. There was a lot of time with him in that in String and Tin's studio in London is where we did it. Plus we were pulling in the choir recordings as well, and I'd recorded solo piano at home. We had we did recordings of a percussionist and a flautist doing various sort of world flutes on top of it. So a lot of elements to pull in. I did the bulk of the editing myself at home, and then exported to him, and then we got stuck into the 5.1 mixing, which is not something I'm able to do at home, but we had a proper studio mix done for it. So,
that's cool. No, I always think there's probably not enough communication between composers and the sort of sound design audio post team sometimes, so it's good to hear that on these kind of projects that there's that kind of collaboration.
All the sound was done at String and Tins, so music and sound design. So Will Cohen was the sound designer and Adam Smith the sound mixer, and they're obviously very close colleagues in sort of neighbouring studios in the same place in London. It was a big sort of close-knit team effort on the sound. And the one guy who I've not mentioned so far, that was kind of the glue that kept everything stuck together, was Richard Overall, who had multiple roles on the film. Primarily he's the editor, so he's a specialist animation editor, but he was also the voice director.
Oh wow.
So he was doing all of that directing with Kelly Murphy, Sally Hawkins, Ken Watanabe remotely, Aaron McGregor, who plays Michael. So that was all him leading that. But he's also has an encyclopedic knowledge of film music and music scoring, and he was as much instrumental in the temp score as the directors were, and he, throughout the process of my scoring of Kensuke's Kingdom, he was the one that was filtering feedback from, because there's more than one director, so he was sort of filtering and interpreting, and at times feedback from the two directors, and being as much a director himself in that respect. So he was sort of the linchpin that everything hung on, Richard. So he's sort of a bit of an unsung hero. So shout out to Richard Overall.
Sounds like he made a massive contribution there. So that's amazing.
He also edited Bear Hunt, and he's sort of the go-to editor for Lupus Films on their projects. So
so it sounds like there's quite a common links between Bear Hunt and this film as well. Did you find that maybe musically there were sort of subconscious links that were sort of intertwined, perhaps?
I guess only in the sense that obviously they're both animation, 2D animation, and they're both orchestral kind of symphonic scores, and they're both adventures where themes are very important. Hooks and themes, and I mean, writing music for animation is I think plays to my strengths in writing themes and melodies and constructing coherent scores. And with animation, it's just you can do more with it. You sort of have more scope to really flex your muscles musically, because it's animation, right? It's not real life. You're going on adventures that you wouldn't do in live action films, and so the score is taking you to other worlds and other sort of fantastical places, and so much fun working in animation.
I can imagine, because I feel like there's less of the sort of underscore type of music present usually, more room to flex your muscles, as you say. And it's more, it's doing more. It's leading you more. It's not just there, kind of filling silence. You know, it's telling the story. And as
with Kensuke's Kingdom, as you've seen, it's basically a silent movie.
Yeah.
Because Kensuke can't speak English, Michael can't speak Japanese, so the bulk of the movie after the first 15 minutes, there's so little dialogue, and it's all sound design and music, really, both of which are really doing a lot of the heavy lifting of telling that story, which is a wonderful gift for me as a composer to have a show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. And yeah, it is a case of flexing your muscles and obviously not trying to not distracting, but really sucking you in musically into a story and into a world like that. As I say, yeah, it's like it's a real gift to have a film like, and a score like that to show off. So,
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Are there any other insights then, maybe based around the differences in writing for live action and animation? Other things you've maybe noticed over the years? Because I guess maybe the biggest one would be like there'd be no animatic, perhaps with live action. You may be seeing a closer version of the final project earlier on, perhaps, which might influence the way things are done potentially.
I mean, other than the fact that as I've said, animations tend to be more fantastical, and therefore the scores are that much more colourful and fantastical themselves.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of difference. I mean, obviously the animations that we've talked about are very family oriented, so they're not sort of adult, 18 plus movies.
Yeah.
These are good storytelling, inclusive kind of films and projects, and therefore the music is very accessible, very tuneful. So yeah, I suppose by that reckoning, it's the audience you're aiming for rather than the actual
the
medium that you're working in. So, for example, the project I'm sort of knee deep in at the moment is an ultra violent live action film called Bad Day at the Office, which is
nice.
It stars John Hannah, and it's all
cool.
It's all shot with head-mounted GoPros, so it's all point of view action. And there's a lot of fights and a lot of chases and a lot of punches thrown that you feel because you're seeing the point of view that you're really feeling those punches. And there's a lot of, it's very adult, and every underbelly of London scene you can possibly think of is in this film. So it's the audience is a certain audience.
Yeah, a bit of a vibe change.
So I'm not writing a John Williams score for that. I've gone everywhere with it so far. I'm about halfway through demoing it.
Sounds like my kind of film, to be honest. So I'll have to look out. Yeah, I like my action. I like things that are done a bit differently as well. Don't know if you ever saw it, but it was like a short film on the golden glory days of YouTube called Hardcore Henry. Yes. And it was essentially, it's that kind of vibe, wasn't it, where it's POV and the guy sat being chased.
Is obviously the director of Bad Day at the Office was so you've got to watch Hardcore Henry.
Yeah.
And I did early on in the process. I watched it for the first time a few months ago, and it's like, this is fantastic. This is really kind of groundbreaking. So it's obviously it has common ground with the POV stuff. He's doing 4 different POVs, whereas it was only Henry in that one, right? So there's 4 characters, one of whom's got a fake eye. Yeah. So the whole POV is kind of slightly skewed in one half, which is really, really clever.
That's interesting.
And yeah, Hardcore Henry, she said, watch it and sort of take note of the score, what the score's doing. Yeah. For that, and I found the score for that was fine. I thought it was quite functional. Whereas in this one, in Bad Day at the Office, I need to really drive it more. Yeah. plus it's kind of comedy action as well. It's violent and it's bloody and there's sex, drugs and violence all over the place, but it's actually quite funny, and we're really sort of playing on the comedy side of it and the absurdity of some of the scenes he's put together, which are utterly ridiculous. Like, I mean, right now the scene I'm working on is it's set in a hospital, and this nurse, slightly kinky nurse, turns into a, you know, she's wielding a syringe and she's trying to plunge it into John Hannah, and I'm doing. There's a couple of scenes where I think we're going to end up doing this, but I'm taking a piece of classical music and remixing it. So in this case, it's the Dies Irae from Verdi's Requiem, which it's public domain, so it's cheap, and it conjures up this demonic nurse really kind of perfectly. So I'm doing a kind of banging remix with sort of synth elements and drums and all sorts for that scene. So
amazing.
Yeah, it couldn't be more different to we're going on a bear hunt. And
I was going to say, it sounds very exciting though. So yeah, as I say, I'll keep an eye out for that one. Just going back to Bear Hunt then, because I know we've chatted previously about the live concert and different sort of iterations of that, but I mean, I think from most composers, that's got to be like what they would see as maybe the best feeling in the world, like not only doing a score with a live orchestra, but then getting to present the film in sort of live performance mode. I was just wondering, what you can tell us about that.
Yeah, no, you're right, it's absolutely the best feeling in the world when you've got an audience hearing it live. It was with Bear Hunt, it was very much the intention to ultimately do it live. So when we were Bear Hunt actually had a really, really healthy budget, so I was able to record in London. Worked at Abbey Road, which was amazing, and we thought it was important to get a named orchestra with a view to later. Obviously, attaching a named orchestra is great for the film and for the soundtrack, but also for further down the line, if that orchestra could then be the orchestra that sort of championed the live version of it. So we talked to I don't know whether I should name the orchestras that didn't do it, but pretty much the biggest one, the most famous one, based in the capital. We spoke to them and they were really keen, and the budget was good, and we talked to them about the live idea, the live plans, and the answer was, we could probably program it in about 4 years' time. Our programming is sort of set with our superstar conductor from now until then. But we can maybe look at it 4 or 5 years' time. It's like, okay, we'll move on. So the orchestra that we did use, City of London Sinfonia, who are amazing and wonderful, were more amenable to because they're more of a freelance-ish orchestra than the other ones we talked to. So it sort of fitted in with their sort of programming better. Ultimately the live thing didn't happen for about 3 years. Which meant that the other orchestra might have been back in the picture. But so when it did, it went with an agent called Intermusica, who represented it, who actually contacted me to see if it was going to become a thing, and yes, it was, obviously. So the deal was done, and it took a while to get the first performances happening. So it happened. Bear Hunt came out in Christmas 2016, and the first live showing was in Dublin in January, February 2019. And it got real momentum in 2019. We did Dublin. This is all with me conducting, which is a treat for me. Conducting and presenting, sort of an introduction to the whole thing. And we did the Royal Festival Hall in London in half term February 2019, and then we did the Royal Welsh college with the student orchestra there in November, and then the amazing thing at the end of the year is I went to Taiwan at Christmas that year in 2019 and conducted three shows out there with Bear Hunt paired up with the Snowman. So Snowman was the first half, Bear Hunt was the second half. And then COVID happened, and it ruined everything. And so all that momentum with all those live shows that we built up was a bit spoilt, and it's never quite picked up from there. It did go on tour with the Snowman in Christmas 2021 with Carrot Productions, who's a company that does a lot of the Wallace and Gromit stuff. So they paired it up with the Snowman, with their own conductor, and I've done a version of it again in London in 2022. So it's still a going thing, and I've had inquiries from a university in the States to do a wind band version of it.
Oh, cool!
Because wind orchestras are quite a big thing in the States.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm going to start arranging it for wind band for use over there. And yes, we've had a brass band inquiry as well.
Oh, amazing!
In the UK, so I think that could be a good avenue for it. So so it's becoming more than simply an orchestral thing, which is, if it has other versions, it gives it more of a life and an opportunity to get out there.
Yeah, so. No, it's amazing. I mean, I think it's something most composers would probably like to do more of, but having put one of these concerts on through NFO, it's just a bit of a minefield. Just making it work financially without losing tons of money on its own is hard. But then you've got all the rights, and what if there's two distributors and they both want a cut, or just loads that can happen. Yeah. So it's a shame there's not an easier sort of model for saying I want to present this.
And not everything is Star Wars and can fill the Albert Hall,
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to think we're going on a bear hunt, might. You never know. Get Michael Rosen doing the introduction. I mean, I would love to do Kensuke's Kingdom live, as I've said. And I think it's done very well in terms of recognition and reviews and awards. It had a very limited cinema run last year. Sort of opened in about this time last year, in middle of August. I mean, people don't really go to the cinema in August, sadly. And ultimately it got a BAFTA nomination, which was amazing, and loads of awards for the music. And now it's been on BBC One at the weekend. It's been on the flagship channel. And it's on the iPlayer now for a whole year. So it's hopefully going to reach a bigger audience.
Yeah, hopefully so, with word of mouth and things. Like, I've got a lot of friends who've got young kids now. I feel like it's the perfect thing to say, if they're bored one day, stick that on, watch it with them.
And I think all of that combined, hopefully, in the longer game, Kensuke's Kingdom is going to become a kind of a favourite film for the family audience, and
hopefully so.
Maybe it's going to build up enough steam to become a viable kind of concert hall filler in a live context.
Well, it's good to have a film like that's British, that's sort of a unique, it's a unique IP. It's not like a spin-off or a sequel or something.
No,
so it's
good and it's got Michael Morpurgo.
Absolutely, yeah.
That name attached. Sorry, Sir Michael.
Mm-hmm.
He's a huge champion of it, and he was involved as much as he could be, and loved. I mean, they did quite a radical adaptation from his book. If you've read the book, you'll know that there's significant differences. But he was very supportive of it, and I think he's actually gone on record to say that he thinks the film is better than the book.
Oh, really? That's very humble.
And he's also said it's probably his favourite film adaptation of any of his books, and that includes Warhorse. He's not a huge fan of Mr. Spielberg's Warhorse.
Oh, really?
But he does love Kensuke's Kingdom, and he comes to as many showings of it, and he's always ready to speak and answer questions, and He's very generous in that respect.
No, that's amazing. So when preparing for this call, I did do a bit of sort of background research, just seeing what other things you'd been up to over the years. So there's a few projects that caught my eye that I was just going to spend a brief bit of time talking about. But the first one which made me laugh was the World Cup in 2002. Apparently you're the arranger for that one. But it made me laugh because I remember I was in primary school and I remember them like wheeling out the television in the assembly hall for that one. So I was just interested what you recall from that one. And
oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's showing my age, isn't it? 2002, the Japan.
So I think that was one of the best World Cups in terms of, because the branding of it was cool. It was Japan, it was Korea. They had them like strange mascot things like.
I don't remember the mascots particularly, but
they were just really weird looking. But it was definitely a different vibe they were going for with it being like the first Asian World Cup and things.
Yeah, right. Because the animation again. So I seem to have a bit of history animation. Animation was done by Passion Pictures, who are very well decorated and well known. I think they've won Oscars. Animation company, production company. My older brother, was actually one of the writers of that one. He works in advertising, and it's done in that kind of manga style animation. The track is Kashmir, Led Zeppelin's Kashmir, which I don't particularly remember the thought process as to choosing that. I mean, they came with that as they wanted to do a slightly manga-y version of that. And it was a deeply lovely project to work. That was when I was full-time in Soho.
So that was from that sort of era.
That came to the company. Obviously, there was a connection with my brother as well, which sort of facilitated me working on it personally. But that one features, the kind of names that were big at the time, like Messi and is it Messi?
I can't remember. 2002. It was like Ronaldo. Brazilian Ronaldo.
The Brazilian.
He had the strange haircut. I can't remember the other big players.
Beckham, obviously.
Yeah.
Features. He crocked his ACL or his ankle or something right before the tournament, and like he's in that kind of cryo tube trying to fix him. And, in the animation. That is. But it was a lovely job to work on. I remember we recorded live guitars on that. Everything else was out the box, but. Yeah, a really good guitarist worked with me on that, and it was fun, sort of deep delving into Kashmir and the composition of that, and the chord structures and the rhythms of that. Obviously, because you've got that sort of cross rhythm thing with the da 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 da. All that stuff was fun to work on, and it's the World Cup, this is like, it doesn't get bigger.
Prestige.
A real prestige job. And this, obviously it was just for the BBC and their coverage of it. But hey, it's BBC. It's, again, prestige and that was fun to work on that one. Yeah,
no, excellent. Yeah, I can imagine that being a fun project. Another one that caught my eye was the Hiroshima documentary, which is interesting timing because we actually passed the 80th anniversary yesterday. I was just, I'm quite interested in World War II and documentaries and things like this, but one specific question I had for composers is how do you approach like a very sensitive topic in a respectful way? Because I sometimes find if you slap music on something you kind of like Hollywoodizing it, which obviously maybe could be insensitive with this kind of subject matter. I also thought of things like, what if your project is to do with something like the Holocaust or like a terror attack or, just those kind of really quite dark events. Just wondered what your thoughts on that was. Yeah,
that was actually made for the 75th anniversary. So that was a History Channel documentary that I worked on. Again, a lockdown project. That was 2020. That it was the way they approached that documentary was it was an hour and a half long, and they took both sides quite equally. So there was a lot of the storytelling about the Manhattan Project and the development and all the key players that were involved, not just Oppenheimer, because there was an awful lot more people in it than Oppenheimer. So an element of it was sort of an adventure story in that respect, because they were, there was this plunge into the unknown, and there was this backdrop of, was Hitler doing the same thing in Germany? Was he going to get the atomic bomb first? So there were lots of these colourful characters involved in the American side of it, and the whole building of this entire city in the desert to work on this project. And it was obviously contrasted with a lot of archive footage of the actual thing and the actual devastation, and so the score became kind of a two-part thing. So there was a lot of kind of adventure music for the soldiers in America and this mission and the exploration of what they were doing, but contrasted with more kind of textural, darker, nastier music to capture just these horrific images of what that did. And there's a lot of sort of interview audio from the Japanese survivors over these images, which is so powerful. And the last couple of segments of the film is kind of drawing it together and sort of theorizing, this is what they did, was it the right thing, was it like they can never do this again? And there was this whole sequence where it wasn't a spoken thing, but actually no, it was Oppenheimer made a speech decades later saying, we did the wrong thing. It ended the war sooner perhaps, but we unleashed this evil on the world, which we have to box it up. We can never use this again. Let this be a lesson. And it showed footage of nuclear explosions or nuclear tests by all the other powers in the world that have nuclear atomic capability. The UK, Russia, India, Pakistan, China, and North Korea right at the end of it. So it's showing tests, one by one. And musically, I was doing this kind of anthemic thing where it's like, this is just awful. And by steps, as it went through all these pieces of footage of these tests, it's like, oh my goodness, it's like really rams it home. So it was a really interesting project to work on that one, because there was so much in it, and there's so much, sort of felt like quite a responsibility, as you said, to get this right for very sensitive subject matter. So I don't know what the answer is to your question really about, but other than just sort of really being careful and sort of
just thinking about what you're doing, I guess, on that sort of deeper level, making sure. It sounds like it was fascinating to work on, though.
It was.
Probably
I learned an awful lot about both sides. It's a sort of shame they branded it. It was actually called Hiroshima 75 years later. They should put 75 on it, because then they could wheel it out a few more times.
Sure. No, that's interesting. Are there any other particular projects that come to mind over the years, other than the ones we've discussed, that have been like particularly enjoyable for you, or maybe sort of stand out in your mind as being unique?
A very, very fond place in my heart was Atlantis, the TV series.
That was another one that looked quite interesting when I was doing the research.
I managed to win the pitch to do the music for the second series of Atlantis, second of two, sadly. So this is back in 2014. Atlantis was a Saturday night BBC One fantasy, Greek mythology mashup kind of adventure series. Kind of thing they don't make anymore on the BBC, which is a shame. And that felt like a quite a big break for me to get that, and I worked on that. It was 13 episodes, 13 45-minute episodes, all of which had sort of 30-35 minutes of music in them each. And much like the animation styles we talked about, it was an adventure. It was it's big, kind of symphonic scoring, recorded only with sort of small numbers of musicians to help it along, to make it sound real. But yeah, I was sort of in a very happy place working on that, because I love Greek mythology anyway. I was going to say, you can't ask for better sort of source material. Yeah, it's wonderful.
For sort of creative inspiration and things. I'll have to check it out. I've not actually watched it. I think I remember seeing posters and things when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I'll have to visit that one. And,
it's a shame they
canned
it after the second series, because they set it up nicely for a third.
Yeah, I feel like they had a phase of doing that stuff, didn't they? Have like Merlin and like Robin Hood and all these kind of...
Same production company as Merlin. So same writers and producers.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll do something similar in the future, and then they can get you back to do the music.
Yeah, I mean, again, for the same company, I did a Netflix comedy horror called Crazy Head.
Oh, cool.
Which that was a year or so later. They got me working on that, which was great fun to work on as well.
Yeah.
Again, only had one series of 6 episodes, and had such potential. That wasn't BBC. That was channel E4 and Netflix. That was so that lives on Netflix if you want to check that out.
I'll certainly have to give that a go. Always looking for new things to watch.
Retro grungy comedy horror.
But it is a bit of a shame when these things get cancelled, when, as you say, if they've got big potential to be a sort of larger story. But I guess that's a bit of a grievance people have with these sort of streaming companies and whatever.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, cool. So just to wrap things up then, I just wondered if you had any general tips or advice for composers who are maybe trying to make that that leap like you did from your course into studio in Soho, or whatever their version of that. Just any sort of general tips or sort of pointers you think might be useful.
Yeah, it's hard to sort of give a magic solution to it all. I think I would say, be a nice person, be a sociable person, nurture your contacts, and if you're a student, maybe your fellow students are going to be the filmmakers of the future, or if they're making films now, stick with them. They might make it big and take you with them. I think one of the pieces of advice I was given, which with hindsight I will say this is wrong, was I was told, well, you need to find your voice and your unique musical style. You need to sort of let your potential clients know who and what you do and what they're going to expect from you. And that was kind of a damaging thing to hear for me, because I was like, oh gosh, what's my style? I need to find it. I need to be different. I need to do this, that, and the other. Yeah. Don't get hung up on that. If someone tells you that, it's sort of the opposite. When you're starting out, you have to be really, really versatile. You have to show that you can do music in any number of styles. Yeah. Finding your unique voice can happen maybe towards the end of your career or the middle of your career, once, and then you'll start to get known for a particular style that you write in. So I think in that respect, it's all about being versatile, trying things, building up, taking things off the internet and writing music for it, and trying styles and showing that you can do this, that, and the other, and just showing that you're versatile, and not get hung up on having to be unique. Because I mean, I learnt that very early on in Soho, in that job. I was writing in so many different styles every day. Every day would be the next day would be a different style. I got known for doing orchestral music very well, and sort of cinematic styles, but I was still working on thrash metal and rap and jazz and all these things on different days. So you gotta be sort of omni kind of composer who can do everything if you want to make a living out of it, particularly in the commercial world.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, because I often see with a lot of students who are still at university, they're very much writing in that like film music style, but not really branching out enough. And I always think, what happens if the director's like, oh, I want a track that's like half reggae, half something else, totally random, and it's like, if all you've been doing is writing, symphonic, cinematic stuff, then you might be a little bit
which itself is yes, it's absolutely crucial to write and be able to orchestrate and arrange and make that film sound, make that John Williams kind of orchestral sound. The other thing I would say in that respect is that if you think about John Williams and other composers that have sort of followed in that mold, like, I mean, John Powell is a particular hero of mine. These guys, brilliant orchestrators, arrangers. They've got this wonderful, big, epic sound, and it's very sort of distinctly them. But they're also brilliant composers.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, don't they?
They know how to write a tune. They know how to construct a coherent sounding score. So it's all very well being able to arrange and orchestrate like them and emulate that sound. But don't forget to write a good tune as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget to do the horizontal side of things. You can do the vertical scoring side, but get the detail right and become a good composer, which is easier said than done. But
amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a nice sort of end point, beautiful end place to close off there. Where can people find you if they wanted to maybe dive in?
At stuarthancock.com is where all my work resides.
Where it goes down. Is there any work on Spotify or anything like that?
Yes. I've got 10 albums on Spotify.
Oh, cool.
Kensuke's Kingdom is the latest one up there. I've done one album of concert music as well called Raptures, which is up there on Spotify. So concert works as well. So,
very nice. Yeah, I'll have to check some of those out. And any Instagram or social media stuff?
Not really. Instagram, I think it's Stuart Hancock Composer.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully you get lots of followers. You might have loads of people asking to be your assistant as well. We'll see.
Line them up.
Cool. Well, appreciate your time and thank you for that. I think it'll be a fascinating thing for people to listen to. Hopefully there's some good little bits of advice, particularly like what you were saying at the end there about being versatile and not worrying about finding your voice so early on. But thank you for being a part of this interview.
No, pleasure. Thank you, Jack. Good to talk to you.